Man, they real man, not with the gay shit. You niggas sick and gross me out, transforming into a bitch. I don't want that dirty pussy, little mama. I ain't spending no a trick. Don't need you to put me on, I put myself on. Just came up on another lick. Bills paid, belly full, in lack for nothing. Nigga, do me, stay in my lane. Fuck tryna be another nigga with nothing. Brainwashed and continue lied to our social media. Censor everything real good into destruction.
Meet Oliver Schwab. He is the managing director of the World Economic Forum. His sister, Nicole, is a member of the executive committee for the World Economic Forum. In July of 2021, she said that was a huge opportunity to have their Great Reset.
I see it as a tremendous opportunity to really have this great reset and to use this huge flows, of money, to use the increased levers that policymakers have today in a way that was not possible before.
Their father, Klaus Schwab, is the founder of the World Economic Forum. 7 years ago, he announced plans to start tracking the entire population and merge everyone with a central machine, what he now calls the Great Reset. The Schwab family is working together with other families because that's how Team Evil works. You can call them the Illuminati if you like, but they have no official name, and they are not illuminated. There is no telling how many family bloodlines are involved, but they keep it in the family for 3 main reasons, and they all have to do with power. First, and most simply, as a way to gain and maintain their fortune. Secondly, is to carry out long-term secret objectives. These families use insurance companies and private trusts to protect their own fortune from the fiat debt-based system that they created, and to generate the kind of money needed for a 100-year plan. The older generation outlawed, introduced petrochemical pharmaceuticals, and polluted the environment. And now the younger generation is here to fix it with their totalitarian Great Reset. It's a multi-generational plan that works because of family loyalty and also because of the third reason why they keep it in the family: trauma-based mind control. Most victims of the CIA's trauma-based mind control program, MK Ultra, have come from families with a history of child abuse, because multi-generational child abuse makes a child more susceptible to mind control. And most of the characters we see as world leaders are not only actors on a stage, they are oblivious because they have suffered a lifetime of abuse and mind control. The overwhelming majority of people on Team Evil are not all in on it. They simply do as they are told. They follow orders and they don't ask questions. These families see having children as a means of gaining power and wealth. They see their own children as property, as slaves to do the family's bidding. But perhaps it's more like a cult than a family. Nearly 1 million child orphans were distributed throughout America and the Commonwealth in the late 1800s by an international secret society called the Odd Fellows. Delivered primarily by train, many of these orphans were born in private homes owned by the Odd Fellows and their offshoot, the Daughters of Rebecca, an all-female Masonic organization that featured symbols of mass breeding and fertility. Philip Eugene de Rothschild says that the Rothschild family alone has produced over 100,000 children in these secret breeding programs. Most of the U.S. presidents during this time were Freemasons. 4 of them were Oddfellows, and at last count, 34 U.S. presidents are directly related to Charlemagne, king of the Franks, who is believed by these Illuminati bloodlines to be of the Merovingian bloodline, a genetic set that they highly value. And Team Evil has always been obsessed with genetics. So it really isn't that strange to point out the similarities between Justin Trudeau and Fidel Castro, Angela Merkel and Adolf Hitler's mother, Barbara Bush and Aleister Crowley, or even Obama and Akhenaten. The only way these families and their abused mind control minions are able to control the rest of us is by dividing us. And if we, the people, could change that, then we could change everything.
also be clear. The future is not just happening. The future is built by us.
I wanted to ask when you all think we're going to move from this form factor to something that's on your face, glasses, and when computing's all in the edge.
All right, 50 seconds. Who wants to answer quickly?
I think it will go. It will. First of all, it will definitely happen. I was talking about 6G earlier, which is around 2030. I would say that by then, definitely the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the usual kind of the most common interface. Wow. Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
So this is Pekka Lundmark, who became president and CEO of Nokia in 2020. And he recently appeared in one of WEF's Blue Rooms there, where he told an audience member that he believes by the rollout of 6G, which they apparently plan to be doing around 2030, the smartphones people are walking around with in their hands right now will be obsolete, and these devices will instead be built directly into people's bodies. And before I make the actual point that I came on here to make, can I just say, I really wish that all of these people would stop acting like this is just the next logical step for this technology. What other technology is that the next logical step ever? It's not like they came out with a microwave oven and then the next logical step was put it directly in your mouth so it could cook the food while you eat it. Or, wow, bicycles are really great. Get places really fast. Next logical step, can I attach that to my ass? Just right to me all the time? All the time. I want the bicycle to be part of my ass so that I don't have to ever be separate from it. I want it to just be right up in there. This is not the next logical step is put it in your body. I feel like that's silly. The way that they talk about this, like we're all just supposed to know that and accept that and think that that's normal to do. It's if you really just step outside of it for a second as if you were, an alien from outer space or something. In one of the comic books that passes as a History Channel show these days,
we became human.
And you saw that, you would be thinking, that's a really bad move. Maybe you should take a step back and tone down the hubris a few thousand notches and maybe consider that there's some ramifications there that you might not seem to get.
Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
That dude's face after he answers the question. Wow to that. But look at this lady following it up real quick.
And one of the important statements we, I think, made at our most recent developers conference is that we believe that one of the big advantages of augmented reality is actually solving problems here on Earth, and it will be things like having glasses and being able to translate as you speak with glasses, and those are very close.
Holograms will be.
She's like, dude, you're not supposed to go straight to telling them they're putting it in the brain. We got to put it on their face first. They have to wear it on their body and get used to that first. You're skipping a whole step here in the plan. What the hell?
Holograms will be very, very high quality in the era of 6G. I've already seen 5G-based hologram demonstrations. They already work, but then with the next generation technology, we could be having this meeting so that in reality we would be sitting in different parts of the world.
And then he's just like, no, we're just going straight to holograms. It's going to be like Star Wars, and you're going to put things in the brain.
All right, well, I've enjoyed seeing you for the last time I'll ever see you in person. I look forward to seeing you at the next Davos. Thank you very much to our amazing panel.
And I know everybody knows my opinion on this. I've made it pretty clear. And hey, if other people think this is super cool and they just cannot wait to do this, that's really everyone else's body, their choice. I am your body, your choice. I actually do believe in that. If those people want to make that decision for themselves, I am not in any position to tell them not to. But I feel like I at least have to bring up a point about this because I don't think these transhumanists have really thought through, okay, what happens when they become obsolete. Because they're sitting around talking about how we're all going to become obsolete, the people like me who don't want to put a smartphone into my brain. But the reason I don't want to put a smartphone into my body is the same reason I don't want to do a lot of things giant corporations tell me to do. I don't trust them. And to trust them with something that's to that level, I mean, we've already been told over and over about these phones, how they're tracking us, how they're tracing on us, how they're spying on us, how we're being manipulated by the algorithms and technology that these phones employ with increasing efficiency. But somehow, at some level, we're supposed to just put all that to the side, just sweep that on over to the side there, step over that giant mountain of bullshit, essentially, and then give up all autonomy altogether and say, no, I think this will go well. I think this will go well. You sit down at your computer, if you have Windows on your PC, and you know it doesn't go well. You know that you can't keep your old version of Windows. You have to just keep upgrading, and then there's all the glitches and the blue screens of death. Hey, let's put that whole mess inside the body, right? Why would anybody... I have a pretty strange imagination. I think probably most people would say that I can go many, many places within the realms of my mind. One place I have a very hard time getting to is how are people actually going to put a 6G emitting smartphone in their brain, and society is going to just continue to function with that. It's barely functioning now with people having these things in their hands. But that's not even really the bigger thing, I think, is that we're going to continue to pretend like non-ionizing radiation doesn't exist, or if it does, it's not anything we need to talk about, think about, learn about, be concerned with. We're going to continue to pretend like our entire body isn't run on electrical signals, though. That doesn't make sense to me. So we're going to have a 6G device in the body or in the brain or whatever it is. And that's just going to be fine, because our entire body is not made up of atoms that have electrical fields, and every single process in our bodies is not run on electrical signals. We're going to continue to pretend like that's not the case, even though it's basic knowledge that we have known for many, 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 many decades. I don't understand that. I cannot wrap my mind around that unless we're just going to pretend like that's not the case. And I don't know how everyone's going to be able to do that. I just can't see this actually working out. I don't think the body itself was meant for that. And I don't think our society is ready for anything even remotely close to that. All of the things, they're just too many. I could go on all day. But they just keep prodding us with this. And it's been going on for years now, that they just keep talking about how they're going to implant mobile phones in our heads, when the phone meets the body, and how your phone's going to read your mind, and when communications technology is going to be implanted in everybody.
Many people now have smartphones and watches for things like communications, daily planning, or even monitoring their health. This quickly growing technology has also brought up the question of how long before we have smart devices implanted within our bodies. We're still quite a ways away from this being an off-the-shelf option for shoppers, but scientists have been exploring this topic for a myriad of different applications.
And they just try to make it sound so cool. With no downsides. There's no downsides here. It's just going to be so awesome when that's happening. Even Elon Musk in his Neuralink presentation was making jokes about updates to brain implants.
It's basically Bluetooth to your phone. Because we'll have to watch the App Store updates for that one. Make sure we don't have a driver issue. Updating.
Definitely admitting to the people presentation that it would be very unethical to put ads in your brain.
There's no advertising.
I mean, Jesus. I mean, you'd have really no escape. We cannot do that. That would be...
Seen how fast gas prices rose last week? New reports reveal that fuel stockpiles have dropped globally, and the problem is likely to get even worse over the next few weeks and months as demand continues to outstrip supplies amid OPEC plus production cuts. Americans are now paying the highest prices for a gallon of gas in at least 8 months, and according to industry experts, they should brace for even more pain at the pump in August, with refineries closing for maintenance and domestic supplies drying up in many states. From now on, filling up your tank will be far more expensive, and there are many reasons contributing to that. The months-long calm in gas prices is over. Now, a perfect storm has begun. Last week, prices at the pump jumped again overnight, and the outlook for the coming weeks and months doesn't bring any relief for American drivers. On Saturday, the national average price for a gallon of regular gasoline surged to $3.75, according to the American Automobile Association. That marked the biggest one-day increase in a year, and the highest average in about 8 months. The price of a gallon of gasoline is now 30 cents more expensive than in June, and that's still a timid uptick compared to experts' estimates of $5 per gallon by the fall. The shift is happening quickly. For instance, the more fuel-efficient premium gas has surged to nearly $4.50, also a 30-cent increase from June. California's average is the highest at $4.95 per gallon of regular gas. In counties like Mono, for example, located just outside Yosemite National Park, the price per gallon has skyrocketed to an eye-popping $6.05, figures by AAA show. Gas prices are on track to reach levels last seen during the inflation peak of 2022, says the association's spokesperson, Daniel Armbruster. Both domestic and international producers are slashing production, but demand remains strong. Increasing crude oil prices, decreasing gasoline inventories, and strong demand for fuel thanks to a busy summer travel season are forcing retail gas prices even higher, Armbruster highlighted. Oil prices are indeed the biggest contributor to fluctuations in fuel prices. In July, the cost of a barrel of crude oil went up by $1.10, climbing to a 3-month high last Thursday. Raw crude price increases add 24 cents per gallon to the price of gasoline and other refined products, the expert noted. And everything points to the beginning of an upward trend that'll stay with us for quite some time. Lower gasoline inventories are a result of the supply gap caused by production cuts introduced by OPEC+, an alliance of the world's major producers. This month, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies announced this month that they would reduce output even more after slashing production by 1.5 million barrels per day in May. On top of that, sanctions on major exporting countries, including Iran, Venezuela, and Russia, have also impacted the global supply of crude oil and helped to boost prices in recent weeks, as noted by Natasha Kaneva, JP Morgan's head of global commodities strategy, in a new report. AWA analyst Robert Sinclair also came forward last week to inform the public that so far this year, global markets have lost almost 4 billion barrels per day due to OPEC's decision. That represents 4% of the total daily production of crude oil. Nearly 4% of daily output being cut has led to increased crude and gasoline prices, despite less than robust summer demand in the U.S., Sinclair said. Saudi Arabia just warned that they're willing to tighten production even more to hit their goal of $100 per gallon of crude oil. Officials pledged to reduce output by a further 1 million barrels per day next month, the kingdom's harshest reduction in years. The move is expected to limit supplies until 2024 as the producer group seeks to boost flagging oil prices and regain supremacy in the global oil market. OPEC Plus pumps around 40% of the world's crude, meaning its policy decisions can have a major impact on fuel prices at home. It could be said the production-cut chickens have come home to roost, Sinclair told the Post. Exports also cut into our supply at home. We're exporting about 2 cargoes of gasoline, mostly from the Gulf Coast, for every cargo we import, the expert added. We are the supplier of choice for Latin America, which has no additional refining capacity coming up this year. Since late June, global oil prices have gained more than 16% and are heading for the longest rally since before the conflict between Russia and Ukraine upended energy markets. The price of Brent crude, the global benchmark, rose to $84 a barrel on Friday, up 3.9% in the past 7 days, while Brent crude futures were up this past month about 11% at $82.33 a barrel. The winning streak is longest since an 8-week rally ended in early February 2022. In the past 30 days, U.S. West Texas intermediate crude has climbed nearly 13% to $79.56. U.S. oil prices are also set for another 4% gain this week and have also chalked up their longest rally since April 2022. According to the International Energy Agency, global oil demand is expected to rise by 2.2 million barrels per day to a record 102 million this year. That means the world is set to face a supply gap of 1.8 million barrels per day or more. The effect of this imbalance between supply and demand is going to be disastrous for U.S. motorists. To make the situation even more complicated, part of the rise in gas prices. There are two main explanations for how high temperatures lead to increased cost of gas. One is that when people are using air conditioning to cool down, which increases demand and therefore increases the price of energy supplies. The other reason is that many oil refineries reduce production due to high heat because of safety reasons, which can cause inventories to go down while prices shoot up. The problematic combination is causing a lot of headaches for Americans who had hoped that the extremely high gas prices were a thing of the past. At this point, refinery utilization, which measures how much crude oil refineries are processing, is also down, which AEDA analysts ascribe to excessive heat that's been affecting 2/3 of the U.S. across 24 states this month. The association noted that a major refinery in New Jersey just went offline this weekend. The Bayway Refinery, a 150,000 barrel per day oil refinery owned by Phillips 66, is the largest gasoline-making unit in the Western Hemisphere and was already at low capacity for most of June and July due to unplanned repairs, according to Reuters. It was actually supposed to be at full capacity right now, they said. Domestically, oil supplies are constrained too, said Andy Gross, the national spokesperson for AAA. If oil prices stay high in the coming weeks and months, it could affect the next inflation reports. Gross explained that prices could also be affected as the U.S. enters peak hurricane season. According to the National Hurricane Center, most storm activity happens from mid-August through mid-October. Depending on storm trajectories, domestic production could be cut as offshore and Gulf Coast oil sites shut down. We're entering a dangerous period, Gross said. The major X factor is a hurricane hitting the oil infrastructure of the Gulf Coast. That could send prices soaring overnight, he said. And with water temperatures around Florida at 100 degrees, the possibility of the formation of a major storm is increased. If refiners in your region have lower or falling utilization rates, you're more likely to see gas prices rise, added Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis of GasBuddy, a platform that helps people find cheap gas. Tom Cloza, the global head of energy analysis at Oil Price Information Service, revealed that refiners in Texas, Louisiana, Tennessee, and some other states are already struggling to run anywhere near maximum rates. Petroleum engineers can tell you when ambient temperatures get to the 100-degree neighborhood. It's difficult to run at maximum levels, he emphasized. Nationwide refinery utilization dropped by 0.9 percentage points from last week to 93.6%. Gasoline production fell to 9.5 million barrels per day, and distillate fuel production dropped to 4.8 million barrels per day last week. West Coast refineries posted the largest decline, 0.4% to 90.9%, followed by the Gulf Coast's 1.5% decrease to 93.3%, and the Midwest slid 1.1% to 97.7%, oil price data shows. These percentages show how much of a region's overall capacity was used to refine oil, DeHaan explained. It's important to note these percentages because the lower the utilization percentage, the lower output, which has a direct impact on local gasoline prices. As for the next couple of weeks, the experts noted that it's possible Americans could be in for another 25-cent increase. From now on, gasoline price increases are expected to happen faster, and lower supplies indicate that there's no relief in sight, at least until the end of 2023. By the winter, the scenario could be far more chaotic as supply systems face increased vulnerability. Just as it happened before, we're woefully unprepared for any sort of emergency or supply disruptions and probably just a single extreme weather event away from seeing gas stations experience massive outages again. At this point, we can only hope for the best but prepare for the worst because this is shaping up to be the worst oil crisis of modern times.